Hello, now we're going to take a look at the student resources. In the student resources, you will find different materials to help your student achieve higher in the Go Math series. So let's go ahead and open it up and see what we have. If we go ahead and click on it, it brings up our menu. We have, off to the left here, we have grade, Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4, Unit 5, Unit 6, Unit 7. So it's all the units that will be covered throughout the school year. If we go to grades, grade will show us different things in there for the grade specific. So for 6th grade, this grade specific area would be different, 7th grade would be different, and 8th grade would be different. But they would be typically the same things, like the front material here. If we click on it, it's just all the stuff in the front of the book. We have 36 pages of what's the front of the book like. If we click on Unpacking the Standards will tell you what the standards are for each unit. So if we look here, MP1, make sense of problems and persevere in solving them. MP2, reason abstractly and quantitatively, and then so on and so forth. If you want to read exactly what each one of the standards are, they are in this spot here. And like this is the 8th grade number sense standard 1. Know that numbers that are not rational are called irrational. And it just tells you what the standard is, how it's applied, what we need to know, what is in there, the key vocabulary for this standard. It's just, there's so much information in just the standards alone. Now if we go back, just by hitting the X, we have our parent letter, which is just a letter if we were to send that out, just to say, hey, we're going to be doing real numbers, exponents, scientific notation. Here's the unit. This is what we expect to be done. There you go. And there's one for every unit. If we go back, then we have fraction bars. Fraction bars, if the students are having trouble with fractions or seeing how they work or how so many fractions make a whole or how many fractions of 1/4 is in 1/2 or whatever, we can use these fraction bars here to help. So we can see that there are 4 1/4 in 1 whole, or we can see that there's 2 1/4 and 4 1/8, and you can play with these and just so you can get better with fractions if we're having trouble with converting fractions or any type of fraction applications. So if we just go ahead and clear all, boom, we just cleared it all out. Then you can go on and do more. So let's back out and go, and we have fraction decimal grids, sorry. Fraction decimal grids. We can choose what type of grid we want to deal with. Hundredths, 25ths, 18ths, 12ths, so on and so forth. We typically use hundredths. But if we click on, let's say we click red, and then we can start filling these in, and we can see that I filled in 35 hundredths as a fraction, or in the decimal form, which is still 35 hundredths, but you see it written as 0.35. Now let's say we change it and we have 2 grids, and we are looking at fifths. And we highlight it, we have 4/5. If we go red, we have 3/5. If we add those together, we can see that we have 1 and 2/5. This is another way to help students when they are having trouble with adding or subtracting fractions and decimals. We can also switch it to compare. Same thing. So we have, let's keep this one hundredths and let's change this one to 18ths. Say we have 56 hundredths and 10/18. So if we're having trouble with comparing fractions and decimals, we can come to this part of the fraction decimal grid and we can compare them. We also have the multiply. So let's say it's tenths by tenths, so we're going to take so that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tenths times 3/10, and we see this area right here lit up. We have 15/10, so not 15/10, 1500ths, because this is out of 100. And then we can always change the scales to what we need them to be. So if we back out of this, we're coming back. We have the bar models. The bar models, we have these drawing tools and editing tools. So if we put our bars down there, we can move them around. We can keep adding them as we need. We can make arrows. We can rotate it. We can extend them out. We can cut. We can extend this one as well. Make different things. We can copy it, duplicate it, so that if we need to make a bar graph, we have the stuff here, we can do it. We also have brackets. If we want to say and then we can type in here what this is. Just more stuff that we can play around with and see what's going on. Now if we back out of this, we come down to Geometry Sketcher. Well, it is just a way of making different geometric figures that we can manipulate. So say we have this parallelogram, but if we use the grids, I should be able to, there, our parallelogram. We have different things we can do with it. We can measure it, the angles. We can zoom it in, out, however we need to. Put it on here, measure our angles, see what they are. We need to see how long it is. We can measure the units that way. And we just move this arrow here and it will tell us the length. So let's clear all. If we need to make a half arc, we need to make a circle. Anything here, perpendicular lines, segments, rays, lines, so on and so forth. There's all these different things you can play with on the Geometric Sketcher. If we exit out of there, we go back, we have algebra tile. Now in the algebra tiles, up here at the top right, we have free play, equation mode, factor mode, solve mode. So if we have it in a free play mode, you can just put these wherever you want just to mess around and see what happens. So we see that the plus and minus in the x tiles cancel each other out. The plus and the minus in the x squared cancels each other out. The plus in the x squared and the minus in the x, they don't cancel each other out. They have to be from the same area to cancel each other out. There's the solve mode, is what I was looking for. Solve mode. So we have this x plus 2 equals 4. So we have x from the x tiles plus 2, 1, 2 equals 4 wholes. So we check solution. So we need to isolate the variable. We need to get this by itself. So we need to put 2 subtract on there because we need that cancel it out. But whatever we do to one side, we have to make sure we do it to the other side. Then we check our solution. Well done. Remember, you can zero pairs by placing the units on top of each other. So if I place them on top of each other, they're gone. Well done. X equals 2. Now let's do a new equation here. New equation will give you a new equation up at the top. And this is just a way of practicing solving equations. So if we have x plus 1 equals 5, so we need to get the variable by itself. We need to get this piece by itself. So if we put 1x or 1 unit on top of the minus, then we do it over here, we check our solution. Well done. new equation, and we can go from there. Now, exit out, we come to graphing calculator. It's just a graphing calculator to help you graph if you don't have one yourself. So like x plus 5. If we enter that, we have our line. And if we do x squared minus 2 minus 2, then we graph it, and you have your equation there. And you can graph up to 4 of them, and you can find where they intersect. You can move this around to see, zoom in, zoom out, back, and it gives you your t-table over here. Okay, we exit out of there. Then we have a scientific calculator. It's just a calculator, a scientific one that has our sine, cosine, tangent, log, exponentials, natural logs. Then we have the multilingual glossary. Multilingual glossary, it's just you can select the language you want for absolute value function. So you want it in Spanish, it translates it down here in Spanish, and it will also
algoritmo,
read it for you.
Algorithm. Algoritmo.
And that's it for grade. Now if we go into Unit 1, we have the student edition. Like here's if you need to print stuff off, that you forget your book or lose your book. You need to print off extra pages so that you have the homework. If we do work in the book, you have it right here. You can see Unit 1 is 72 pages, and you go on through. You'll just hit print, and it will print that section. Now if you try to print it from the student book, it will have all the excess stuff on the sides, like over here, the tools that you had. It would have that also on there. But say we go to Module 1. We'll say you just want to print off the student edition for Module 1. Well, here's just Module 1. Instead of having 72 pages, you have 28. And it's the same thing. You want to print this off, print it off from the student resources. They have the Are You Ready worksheets. It's just to see if you're ready to actually do what's in Module 1. This has 11 skills, or skill 11, skill 12. So these are skills that should be mastered to be able to do Module 1 in the 8th grade. Then we have real world videos. We've talked about them before, but here's just another real world video that goes along with it. It's most likely the exact same one from the book when we did the student book edition and you clicked on real world video. Then we have a Module 1 challenge. If you click here, this is the Module 1 challenge. It's just a very challenging worksheet to help push you to the next level when it comes to your math skills. Then, if we notice, we come over to lesson. It broke down Module 1 into Lesson 1, 2, and 3. There are 3 lessons in Module 1. And if we go to Lesson 1, here we just have the student edition for just Lesson 1, which is 8 pages. Instead of printing off all the pages over here and the student edition for Unit 1, which was 78 pages, you can hit Student Edition Lesson 1, and you only have 8 pages. But we have on the spot videos here, example 1, 2, and 3. These correspond with inside the book here. So we're at example 1. If we were to go back and click on it, go back to this, it will be the video for that example in Lesson 1, example 1.
Suppose that someone gives.
Then we have worksheets. These worksheets are just extra help, or if the teacher gives these worksheets as homework and you lost yours, here's another way of getting it without going to the teacher and say, hey, I lost my homework. Is there another way I can get one printed off? Or say you're at home and you lost your homework or you forgot it at school, you can always come here and say, oh yeah, we did Lesson 1, we did worksheet C, and you click on worksheet C, and then here's your worksheet. You can print it off and then do your work. There's worksheets A, B, C, D, reteach, reading strategies, and success for English learners in every lesson of the book. And if we see, every unit has a specific amount of modules. For Unit 1, we have 2 modules in 8th grade. Unit 2, we have 4. Unit 3, 2, so on and so forth. So this has been a kind of quick overview of the student resources and what the students have at their fingertips.